Mr. President, may I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite
just
is
want to
recognized.
let you, to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, This is just a mere parang consideration. Ako, I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, ako, I don't mind. Ako so far, in the past two Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero, namagay yung paa
Alam ni majority.
So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Mr. President, I've been looking diagonally to my left for the last several days. A colleague of ours, coming from our great province of Cavite, Mr. President. May I know the exact rule, Mr. President, concerning a colleague, concerning a member of this chamber with medical devices, apparatus, and apparently under rehabilitation, Mr. President? Is he really required to be physically present during hearings? I'm referring, Mr. President, to the Honorable Senator Bong Revilla. Lagi ko po nakikita rito na may dala, kulang na lang po, wheelchair, Mr. President.
Well, with due respect to our distinguished colleague, the rules is very explicit. We only amended the rules for online sessions for COVID infected individuals or those that have contagious diseases, COVID, TB, Ebola, pagkaganyan, pwede yan online or is bedridden. Were lax. But the rules is very specific. It is only for contagious diseases. But due to humanitarian reasons, because he had his operation last week that he could not stand up, we allowed it. However, he attended a political party rally in Manila Polo Club, was seen by everybody standing beside our president, and therefore he seems fit to be able to join us. And he joined us last Wednesday. To be very fair about it, he did join us last Wednesday. So I leave it now to the majority leader to make the proposition.
Yeah, Mr. President, just to put on record, if
Mr. President, may I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite
just
is
want to
recognized.
let you, to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, This is just a mere parang consideration. Ako, I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, ako, I don't mind. Ako so far, in the past two Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero, namagay yung paa
Alam ni majority.
So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Yeah, just a reminder, Your Honor, I've had a perfect attendance since 1998. I have not been absent from session since 1998. For the record, I must have the longest record of appearance in the legislature. When times I'm sick, times I don't feel good, times I'm also bugbog sa trabaho, but I try to make it a point to be here to show our commitment. But the rules is very clear, and I leave it back to our chairman of the Committee on Rules to make the motion or the manifestation so that we are clear with the rules.
Thank you. Mr. President, may I reiterate what you mentioned about our rules? It's very clear on Rule 14, Senate Session, Section 41. Letter B, Mr. President, convene and hold session through teleconference, video conference, and other reliable forms of remote or electronic means using appropriate information and communications technology systems due to force majeure or the occurrence of a national emergency as determined by the majority of all the members of the Senate, which may prevent the convening of the Senate or the physical presence of its members in the session hall. If you recall, Mr. President, I think last week, Mr. President, there was no objection coming from our colleagues of the Senate when we made that motion, Mr. President, to somehow suspend the rules for our dear colleague who just had a terrible accident, Mr. President. And again, we would like to put on record that we commiserate with our distinguished colleague. And in section 120 of our rules, Mr. President, it says here, and I quote, "The unanimous consent of any action or proceeding may be given expressly or impliedly." And that's the main reason, Mr. President, that we allowed our colleague to be present via online without touching, Mr. President, our regular rules, Mr. President, because no one actually objected to it. But again, Mr. President, this is a case-to-case basis. If anyone would move, Mr. President.
Yes, I move, Mr. President, Majority Leader. With all due respect and in recognition still of our rules, I believe there is a definition for bedridden. Given the inability of our colleague to move, I think he should be considered bedridden even under our rules.
You know the reason why I'm bringing this up? Because last week, another colleague of ours was going to do a checkup and ask for Zoom call as well. When will this stop, Your Honors? When will this stop? What is the leeway that we're going to give our colleagues?
Mr. President, we abide by the rules, and
Yes.
it actually says very clearly that bedridden is a category that applies.
No, it's not in our rules, Madam. There's
But
no measure in the rules on bedridden. It's the chairperson just read what is on the rules earlier. If you may repeat it, Your Honor, Majority
Some-
Leader.
But I understand from the Majority Leader that we could reconsider.
Mr.
We could
President, may I ask for a
reconsider
minute
even
suspension,
if
Mr. President?
no
Session
one
suspended.
actually objected.
Is seeking the floor and actually has the floor. I move that she be recognized, Mr. President.
Our distinguished colleague from Ilocos Norte is recognized.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, and upon consultation, let me withdraw the motion and just enjoining your greatest humanitarian concern, refer therefore this issue to the Committee on Rules for further study and immediate action.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we'd like to thank our distinguished colleague, Senator Amy Marcos, for trusting her Committee on Rules.
Yeah, there being no objection to her motion, duly seconded by the Majority Leader. Motion's approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino.
Thank you. Mr. President,
So hanggang dito lang tayo mga tol. Maraming salamat sa panonood at patuloy na suporta. God bless you sa inyo lahat at hanggang sa muli. Paalam.